What's going on, everyone? I am here with Eli Solidum, an old friend. Well, I don't even know if we were really friends in high school.
An old acquaintance.
An old acquaintance in high school. We're in the same city, haven't seen each other for about 6 years, so I was like, let's see what he's doing, let's interview him and see what's going on.
And we've both become cooler since then. So.
There we go. That's true. Man, I've changed a lot. So tell us about yourself. What have you been doing since I last saw you?
Alright, so Trent said 6 years since we last saw each other. We graduated from a small high school in Missouri. We both went off our separate ways. I think Trent's went, all over the world, and then I decided to follow suit as well. So I've been doing a lot of traveling, doing a lot of social media marketing, doing just a ton of my own entrepreneurial pursuits. Went to college, did all that stuff, but I realized the one thing I really liked doing was traveling, creating, photography, just all sorts of stuff, whatever it took, and whatever I love to do. So for the past 6 years, I've been, after graduating college, I've just been traveling for pretty much the last 2 years nonstop. Most of that was backpacking, so a lot of budget travel, a lot of solo traveling, just kind of seeing the world on my own terms, basically.
Yeah, it's crazy because we had a mutual friend in high school, and we knew of each other, and then you graduated, you were here ahead of me, I graduated, and then I was in college and everything. I think I was in Australia, and one of my friends was like, hey, have you seen what Elijah's doing? He's traveling everywhere. They sent me your account. I was like, oh dang, he got out, he's doing stuff. I was so I think I started following you, commented on some of your stuff, and then you hit me up when you were coming to Mexico City.
Yeah. I looked at his name, who commented, I'm like, that name sounds familiar, as if it's Trent's is a very unique name. So I was like, I know this kid, even though he doesn't look anything like he did when I knew him. I know this kid, and he's out doing cool stuff now. So when I knew I was coming to Mexico City, I was like, oh shit, gotta hit Trent's up for sure.
There we go. Yeah, and I'm glad you did. It's been a fun couple days.
It's been a very fun couple of days.
But so yeah, you've been traveling all over. What was your first experience leaving the States? I know for me, I went to France when I was in high school, and that changed my whole perspective of traveling. So what was
my first
thing?
I guess when I left my mother's womb, because I wasn't even born in the States.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah, but I moved to the States when I was 4 years old. So my first time actually leaving the States was going back to the Philippines when I was 13, going back to the motherland. And back then I wasn't that into traveling. I was just like, oh man, I'm with my family again. So my first real experience leaving the States by myself or with a friend was in 2014. I decided to go to Barcelona. I had a bit of spare cash saved up from social media marketing. So me and my friend went to Barcelona and did a little Mediterranean adventure, Spain, France, Italy, a little bit of Tunisia, and then back to Spain for about 2 weeks. And that's when I was like, wow, there is so much more out there to see. We went, my family and I went back to the Philippines later that summer, and my perspective was completely changed. A few years ago, I was like, wow, this sucks. A few years now, I was like, damn, traveling is what I want to do with my life. And that's when I changed my major in college to international business and not just management. So
that's crazy. See, I don't know any of these. I told him the questions, but he hasn't answered them. So I'm hearing most of this for the first time. So that's crazy because I kind of had the same experience. I went to France for 2.5 weeks, and it was just crazy, different culture. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different world. There's so much out there. Food's different. People are different.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's interesting. Do you think in traveling, going through all those, you're like, oh man, I have to see more? Or was it just oh, this was cool, and then you're just realize later?
It was at first, traveling was kind of almost not quite a checklist or a bucket list, but it was oh, I have to see as many places as I can. I have to cross off as many countries on my list. But then the more I traveled, the more I was like, you know what, traveling isn't always about just crossing stuff off your checklist. It's about seeing stuff no matter where you are. It's kind of just a way of life. So I've found that the past couple of years, instead of just hopping from country to country every couple of days, I'd spend months in a country and just be wow, taking all the culture, taking as much of a country as possible, because a lot of these countries are extremely diverse, extremely huge. For example, Thailand, I spent quite a bit of time there. and North Thailand is completely different than South Thailand is completely different than Bangkok, which is like an entire country in itself. So, you know, it's just insane what you can see when you're traveling.
So how many countries have you been to?
I haven't like kept track in a while, but I think last time I checked I was around 40, 45.
Crazy.
But I haven't been to a new country in like almost a year is the thing, because I've just been sticking to the same places I've loved, because there's always so much more to see there. Like,
for sure. That's what we were talking about yesterday, just kind of going back and like really diving in, seeing what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is my like 5th or 6th time in Mexico. The first time I went to Mexico, I was there for like 2 days. I went to one city, and now I've like saying I've been to Mexico just based on that experience is almost a lie, because you could spend 5 years in Mexico and not even scratch the surface. So that's
so
why I
much
think country counting is like, you know, not my thing anymore.
It's cool at first, but then you're like, man, I only spent like, you know, a week in Croatia. Like, I need to get a little more. But yeah, because, you know, like that first 2 weeks I spent in France, I was like, I've been back 3 times ever since. I was like, going to new places, experiencing new things. Like, there's always so much more you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the hard thing about traveling. Like, you just want to keep going back to places, and then, but you want to also go to new places, and you're just like, oh, like what do I do this time? Okay, so you do a lot of budget traveling. You stay in a lot of hostels.
Yeah.
What's your craziest hostel experience that you've had?
Oh man, I've stayed in a lot of party hostels in Southeast Asia. So the hostel I stayed at in Koh Phangan, which is home to the famous full moon party, you might have heard of it. It's just like when
what country is that in?
Thailand. So like one night every month when the full moon is out, just thousands and thousands of people line the beaches of Koh Phangan. Just the party is just like a line, an endless like strip of clubs and like just all on the beach. So man, that hostel, it was right on that beach, and we were just a group of us. We were out for like almost 20 straight hours.
Oh my gosh.
That had to be and I came there knowing absolutely no one. I was almost scared to go to the full moon party, because I was like, everyone's gonna like already have squats, like everyone's gonna know so many people. And I was there like 2 days before, and I'm like, oh god, like am I even gonna am I just gonna go to the full moon party solo? But we ended up like forming an unbreakable bond between us. I mean, if you party for like 20 hours straight with your hostel mates, you're gonna be pretty good friends with each other.
You're gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, and like after the full moon party ended, it was like 5 a.m. We were like, oh, should we go back? And we were just like, nope. Hopped on a boat to some other club, not knowing where we were going, but it was insane.
That sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
So like, okay, so you have the Instagram at the Partying Traveler.
Yeah.
You go follow that. But so, what's your favorite thing to do when traveling other than partying?
That's tough to say, because like each place, there's not like each place is different, so it's hard to just have a one-size-fits-all activity to go. You know, like I love to go hiking, but I'm not exactly going to be able to go hiking in places like Bali or
Kansas.
Somewhere. Yeah, Kansas. Not that I ever go to Kansas voluntarily, but yeah, I'd say I love anything outdoorsy. I love going, you know, experiencing nature. Another thing I like to do is, you know, just try to immerse myself in local culture, like, you know, talk to as many locals as I can, just try to eat like how they do. Because also as a budget traveler, you don't want to be splurging on like fancy restaurants, like fancy hotels. Exactly.
Yeah.
So like if you're eating at a taco shack for like 5 nights in a row, you get a like authentic experience more than if you were to eat at a Pizza Hut like 5 nights in a row. So
Olive Garden.
Yeah.
Red Lobster.
Yeah. I just try to get into the local culture as much as possible.
Do you mostly travel by yourself, or do you travel with people? How does that?
Usually I start off solo, or if I have a friend who wants to come, they'll come with me for a little bit, because a lot of people, they can't travel long term, or they don't think they can travel long term. But like for most of my trips, I start off solo, because it's, you know, there's you travel on your own terms. You don't have to wait around for anyone. You don't have to be responsible for anyone but yourself. But then, you know, when you meet people in a hostel, sometimes they'll be going the same direction as you, or sometimes they'll know where to go, have a better idea of the country than you do. So if you find cool people, that's the cool part about solo travel, is you can tag along with whoever you want, or they'll tag along with you. And if you get tired of them, they get annoying, you're just like, you know what?
You just leave them.
This is over.
You can't just leave your friend.
Yeah.
So has it been scary? Because I know a lot of people are like so afraid to like travel by themselves. I think it's dangerous, like, which it can be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not at all.
Yeah.
But what is your experiences with that?
I think it's a learning experience. You're gonna learn a lot as you continue to travel solo. My first solo trip was to Colombia, which is kind of I had been watching
Really?
a lot of Narcos, and I was like, I want to go to Colombia, and like that was when Narcos was like super popular, so everyone was like, what? Colombia is your first solo trip? I'm like,
Dang,
yeah, that
that's
sounds fun.
impressive.
So I was only going for 2 weeks. I ended up meeting some really cool people, and then like ended up traveling with them for another 2 months. So like I just extending my trip on a whim. But at first I was like not necessarily terrified, but I was nervous. I wasn't sure what to do. Like I hadn't gotten comfortable with traveling solo yet. But like my first time staying at a hostel solo, I was so nervous to go up to people and talk to them. Like I was just like over here, there's a group of people over there, and I was just like on my phone pretending to like act all cool and stuff before eventually I was like, all right. And like that was the scariest part of traveling for me, was actually stepping out of my comfort zone and trying to meet new people and trying to do
Being
that
that
stuff.
extrovert.
Yeah, but you really get comfortable with it the more you travel solo. So like 2 years later, I could go anywhere. I feel like anywhere in the world, make friends. Find my footing, like no matter what happens. So yeah.
That's awesome. And we're actually filming in a hostel right now, so there's people walking around and stuff. Okay, so for the last question, so why do you travel, and why should they travel?
Okay. I travel because I love experiencing new things. The world is like massive, and there's no chance we're going to get to see all of it, but there's no reason not to try to see all of it.
For sure.
Because the world is seriously, there's so much out there, not just stuff to see, but people to meet. Like I think the more I travel, the more I realize the reason I travel is because of people.
So good.
You
Yeah,
meet
so
so
true.
many amazing people from different cultures. You start realizing that we're all kind of, we're all literally all humans, and it just brings the world a bit closer.
We have a lot in common.
Yeah, we have a lot in common. We can all just,
And
you
you're
can
not
go
out to
any
kill you.
country in the world, sit down at a bar, share a beer with someone, and become their friend within 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the mantra of the partying traveler, is bring the world closer one beer at a time, basically.
That's awesome.
So I think everyone should travel, because I think it opens your eyes, it opens your heart, as corny as that sounds.
No,
But
it's so true.
a lot of people, they live in a bubble where they think that it's scary to like leave the country, because you always hear the worst from other countries. Like you only hear about the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So like every time I go to a country like Colombia or Mexico or even Thailand or Indonesia, people are like, are you sure that's safe? And then like once you get there, you're just like, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. Like, you might be uncomfortable, there might be some anxious experiences, but like at the end of the day, like you can always rely on the kindness of humans, kindness of strangers, and that like is pretty inspirational. I'd
Yeah,
say.
and the thing is, like, I've learned, like, when you expect the best out of people,
Yeah,
you get the best,
out of people.
Exactly. And like, there's always good people out there. Like, if you're afraid and you expect the worst, like, you're probably gonna find the worst.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, like, the best part is the people, because the people make it. Whether like people have been telling me like, oh, Mexico is dangerous, or all this stuff. It's like, you know what? I'm loving it here. I haven't had any problems.
Exactly, same here.
And so I'm just gonna keep doing it, keep meeting new people. But yeah, crazy. What I was gonna say something else, and I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh well. But anyway, thank you for doing this interview with me. I hope you guys enjoyed that. He hit me up and I was like, oh, this would be a great time. Like, we're both from a small town.
Very small town.
Like 8,000
Completely
people
irrelevant.
in Missouri. Like we got out. We're like, we're gonna travel. We're gonna do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And we want to show you guys that you can do that too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as hard as you think. That's why I'm making like the how-to videos. I hope to like interview more people and just kind of show you guys like, don't be scared, try it, take the risk, go all out, and,
Yeah.
you know, just have fun.
Yeah, there's a lot out there, man.
There's a lot
Go
out
see
there.
it.
So, this is Eli Solidum.
Well,
You can follow him at the Party Traveler.
the partying
Or
traveler.
the Partying Traveler. Damn it. You can follow him at the Partying Traveler. I always say that.
Yeah.
Or Pugs. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you liked it, like, comment. If you have any questions, I'm sure we can answer some of your questions. And
Sure.
subscribe if you want to see more. I think you have a YouTube channel as well.
I do.
I'll
It's
put
not big, yeah, but
I'll put like his links and stuff in the
Hell
description
yeah.
down below. And so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.